My son came down with Tourette syndrome, and we didn't know what it was between the ages of 2 when he got his first symptoms up until he was 8 or 9 years old, when he was finally diagnosed because I read an article in Parade magazine about a young man who had Tourette syndrome. I took that article to the pediatrician, and I said, this is what he has. And the pediatrician said he'd never heard of the disease. And so we went to a doctor who was the guru of Tourette syndrome at that time. So we had to go into a clinical trial. There were a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, and a lot of expense, because once he was in the clinical trial, the company refused to pay for any of the mandatory blood tests. And he explained that it was an orphan drug, meaning that drug companies felt that drugs for rare diseases would not be profitable enough because the diseases weren't affecting millions of people. We needed to solve the orphan drug problem for everybody, not for my son, not for my family, but for everybody. The interesting part of the whole thing was that Henry Waxman got involved with this whole issue because a young teenager from Los Angeles who had Tourette syndrome was taking this same drug, the Pimozide. He was getting it from Canada, and somebody trying to bring it back from Canada, it was customs officials obtained it, took it away from this person and said, you can't have it, it's not approved in the United States. So when his mother called me and said, what should I do? I said, call your congressman. And it turned out that her congressman was Henry Waxman from Los Angeles. Henry Waxman called for hearings, and he invited the drug industry to testify, and I testified with this young person from Los Angeles, and the room was empty. There was nobody in the room except for one man sitting all the way in the back row. And it turned out he was a reporter for the Los Angeles Times who was there because this young person who testified was from L.A. And the following day he wrote an article. And Jack Klugman's brother read the article, and he was a producer of the Quincy Show. He wanted to do a Quincy show about Tourette syndrome and orphan drugs, which he did. And once that went on TV, it broke everything open. Jack Klugman got on the screen and said, even though this story is fictional, there was truth to the orphan drug issue. Well, thousands of people wrote to him, and he shipped all those letters to us. And we saw that a lot of those people just were so moved by the story that they wanted to help to pass the orphan drug law. But a high percentage of those letters were from people with other rare diseases who needed help. People asked me, how did all of that happen? And I said it really was serendipity, because, we didn't plan things out. And, if it wasn't a teenager from Los Angeles who was affected, we never would have gotten to Henry Waxman. And if Henry Waxman didn't hold that hearing, there wouldn't have been an article in the LA Times to get Jack Klugman involved. And Jack Klugman is the one who let the whole world know that this was a terrible problem.
I cannot support this bill, but I won't stand in its way.